This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Catch the new Hulu original comedy Mid-Century Modern from the creators of Will and Grace, executive producer Ryan Murphy, and director James Burrows. When three best friends move in together, Palm Springs will never be the same. They're fun, they're fabulous, and they're turning life's lemons into spiked lemonade. Shake up a batch of cocktails, relax by the pool, and get ready for some serious shade. Mid-Century Modern stars Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, and Linda Lavin. All episodes of Mid-Century Modern are now streaming on Hulu.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/iHeart. Greenlight.com/iHeart.
Leber. NFL Draft. And his EA Fox.
Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via Twitter, via the X Machine. Also, Twin Cities Live, weekdays, Channel 5, 3 to 4:30. This is all courtesy of Maple Grove Lock and Safe. And welcome back to 9 to noon. What, with outside of football for a second, Mr. Leber, what will you watch more and why? Wolves playoff games or Wild playoff games? And good morning.
Oh, God, that is a great question.
I'm controversial early.
Yeah. You know, that's
because a wrong answer cost Team Leber comps at one of the venues.
100%. See, you put me you put me in a bad spot.
That's what we do.
This is sort of like asking who's your favorite kid.
A little bit
like that.
We've already established it's Wit, but that was a year ago.
Yeah.
The best.
I will. Okay, here's my political answer.
Yeah, there's a correct answer. You're going to watch every minute of both.
I'm going to watch both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to watch both, but
there's even a more political answer, politically correct. I'm going to listen to every minute of both.
Oh, yeah.
On KFAN.
Your radio home.
I'm gonna sync it up to where I watch it,
yep.
And I get the audio that's synced up perfectly right here on the fan. So my one kid Whit, he is more of the basketball guy, so he's very interested in watching the basketball games. So when he and I when those games are on, I could see he and I sharing those father-son moments of watching the Timberwolves. Now my youngest Wells is more of a hockey guy. He appreciates basketball, but he's more of like, he and I were watching that last game with the Wild, and he was taking a little brain break from doing his homework, which was still kind of late, and he was going crazy, and we're high-fiving each other when he jumps off the couch, when Eric's next, he
the bomb
hits that, scores that goal, and then you get Boldy in overtime. Like, he was jumping up and down, and we were high-fiving each other. So for different reasons, I'll be watching both games and listening to both games.
And then you'll watch the Kentucky Derby to satisfy the daughter.
And then,
or some steeplechase race.
That's kind of the opposite.
The equestrian bit, right?
Yeah, but
we're volleyball now.
No. Let me, you're not going to love hearing this, but equestrian, correct. Horse racing, my wife and daughter do not love watching because they think they don't ever want to see a horse go down. Mm-hmm. So they are terrified of.
So they live scared.
They live scared. They don't want to watch this race in which they are They love the majesty and the athleticism of these horses.
Like 60,000 horse races a year, and it happens about 60 times.
I understand that. I understand that. But it happened in the one Kentucky Derby, whatever, 15 years ago.
Terrible.
And I forced my wife to watch because I'm like, listen, it's the fastest, 2 minutes in sports. And I'm like, everybody's watching it. Yeah. You got to watch it.
It used to be the fastest 2 minutes in sports until I turned 59.
and then that horsey got put down right on the track. And so she's like, I will never watch this ever again. And that's kind of where my daughter sits as well.
Yeah. Well, equestrian sucks. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm playing with you. And I totally understand. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I respect you and I respect people's stances on things like that. And maybe it's not for everybody. But when it comes to Wells, a hockey kid in Edina, better pack a lunch. Got to start early with that.
It never stops.
Oh, I know, but you got to pack a lunch in Edina with a hockey youth, right?
Yeah. Listen.
Sissy next level, and you just don't want to say it?
No, thankfully.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he's not next level. I don't know. I don't think that I could be
rooting for them to be mediocre, huh?
Not trying to use the Leber last name to elevate the traveling teams, you say. Okay.
I will say this about myself. I am too selfish to be a dad of a super high-performing youth athlete.
What, pulls attention from you?
No, because I don't agree. I would have a hard time sending my kid to all of these out-of-state tournaments all the time throughout the whole calendar year, neglecting playing other sports, specializing in one sport at 10 years old. Like, I would not be that guy.
Eric Bjorgard, general manager, Metropolitan Ford.
I love him.
I know you know him. He lives in Edina. His son, Chase.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Chase, high-end goaltender, Edina Hornets, high-end running back, football team, also plays with the baseball team. Don't know if he's high-end or not, but we'll go with it.
Let's just go with it.
So he's been in and is in all three of those sports. But with baseball, because I stop by Metropolitan Ford every so often and I sit around with the guys, I know Chase with Eric are sitting on, like, I don't know where they are, man. It's like we got to go to Alabama, then we got a tournament in Atlanta. I mean, it can be expensive. There's that side of it too. But that would be if you were interested in changing your mind or hearing somebody who does something like that, they make it work. But it is a lot. I mean, because I talk to Eric year round and it's always here, there, flight to Fort Lauderdale, play in this tournament, back home, chill, flight to Branson, baseball. Yeah.
I know. And we already struggle with the balance because of my daughters, as you talked about with her equestrian stuff, that's a year-round sport. I mean, they take a little bit of a break.
Equestrian's beautiful.
It's a cool sport, but it's not heavily supported here in the upper Midwest, so you have to go to these other out-of-state places. So it's a lot of logistical things. It's a lot of cash out of your pocket. It's all those things. And that is a year-round deal. My wife kind of handles most of that. But my thing is, she also does club volleyball. There's a couple of out-of-state tournaments with that. There's also in-town tournaments all weekend long for all the volleyball parents out there that understand that. And then if we're in a situation where that Whit was doing, if he was a AAA baseball player and playing in a club sport, club baseball, and really, really specializing because he loves baseball. He wants to be a pitcher. And if he was of that caliber, just with the two kids and my working job zones, I don't know how that he would be able to go to all of these club out-of-state tournaments because again, not heavily supported in the upper Midwest with baseball. You have to go down to the South. You're doing all these high-level AAA club, tournaments. And then you've got the younger one. If he specialized in hockey and if he was, on a top team traveling around and going to Canada and going to I don't know how we would do it.
Right.
I don't know how we would do it. And
Understood.
I would ask myself, is this healthy for anybody?
Yeah. Very fair.
And what is the end game?
It's very fair.
And what is,
is it healthy, mentally healthy for the parents or the kids? Is it, why are we doing it? Is it because we want Billy, Johnny, Christy, Susie, Tamika, and Antoine to be their very best for us?
Yeah, who are we doing it for? Are we doing it for us as the parents, or are we doing it for the kids because they say that they love it? Or they love it because they know mommy and daddy love it?
Right. Yeah, that's you laid that out beautifully. Back to hockey for a second, and you and young Wells watched the Joel Eriksson goal, then maybe the Boldy goal. So did you guys watch to the end?
Yeah, we watched. I turned it on. I actually kind of, I'm not a very good Wild follower in that context, but I turned it on about
the game was boring.
About midway through the third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, the game's on. So
I fell asleep in the second period, woke up middle third. Glad I did.
Perfect.
It was super engaging from that point on. Here's why I asked.
Yeah.
And I would imagine the answer is yes here, but there's more to it. Have you or young Wells, but you specifically with Wells and explaining what's happening, it could be a good father-son moment. You ever catch the hockey handshakes?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so classy. Now, did you see the Anaheimers the other night?
Yeah.
Think about this. I mean, just you played in the league for a decade. Okay. Football ain't doing this. Nobody else does this.
Nobody else does it.
It's so stupid. I'm getting pissed off at it that nobody else does something like this outside of hockey. Anaheim lost last night in Winnipeg. All right, their season's over. And you know this from being an athlete who gets paid the majority of your money during the season. Same thing with hockey. Okay, cool. You're making the majority of your money during the season. Bank account's growing. You ain't got a lot of time to do anything. Season's over. Well, now all of a sudden we can do this and we can do that and we can breathe. So Anaheim was looking at that. Okay, we're going to go lose at Winnipeg, which it did last night. Then our season's over. But it didn't put all of its free will, all of its desires, despite losing an emotional game, in front of the greater good. So the Wild celebration with Boldy scores, everybody goes to Fleury. That's about 2 minutes. Now, you got these Anaheimers, they ain't going anywhere. They just stood there and waited and waited and waited and lined up, and everybody shook hand to Flower. Great career. Appreciate you. Love you. Great career. Great career. Hey, man, great playing against you. That I just can't, and specifically in this day and age, this look at me now day and age. It's so classy and such the right thing to do at the end of a physical sporting event or really any kind of a sporting event. I just don't understand why baseball, basketball, or football don't ever consider anything like this at the end of a playoff series or immortality is on the way out. Now, when LeBron retires, all right, yeah, there'll be handshakes and hugs and stuff but this is a ceremony. This is a procession, and it's a vanguard behind the first player, and I just personally think that's how it should be.
So let me take a step back a little bit. You're talking about a special moment. 100%. I think those special moments need to be honored and recognized and respected. Mm-hmm. And I think hockey in general, not just the NHL, hockey in general as a sport and as a culture does that the best. Here's one of the most surprising and appreciative things that I've learned about hockey, because I did not grow up with hockey. I was not around the hockey culture. I wish every sport would adopt the hockey culture. And I'll expand on this in both before and after the game. You go to these youth tournaments. I'm talking about squirt level, mite level hockey. Young kids, right? We're talking 3rd, 4th, 5th graders. You go to these big tournaments and a big game, they will play the national anthem, okay? Every kid is taught to line up on the blue line. They respect the national anthem. Everybody in the audience respects the national anthem.
Wells takes a knee and gets canceled. Just kidding.
Some kids and some teams, they all do towards the end, they raise the stick up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
And at the very end, they all smack their stick on the ground. It's still, there are times it gives me chills when I'm watching a youth hockey game and they're playing the national anthem for a squirt game, right? And these kids are showing the respect by raising their sticks up in the air.
That's super cool.
And they smack it down the ice. Okay?
Paying homage to Anders Lee.
And that's across the board. That's every out of town. That is the hockey culture in the United States. Okay. And then when you get to the end of the game, the reason why those Anaheimers lined up and waited is because that's what they're taught at a young age. Every kid, they go and they rush the goalies. They're taught at a very young age, protect the goalies.
And
you're
it's
watching,
a little head bump.
Yeah, you're watching young kids in the game of play at 10 years old. If somebody messes or interferes with the goalie, they're already shoving the kid that pushed the goalie. Right. They're learning to protect and respect the goalies, right? Yep. So I love that. Even in a non-checking situation, they're like, don't mess with our goalie.
Yep.
So the end of the game, they fly to the either side and they all dap up the goalie. They show them love. Then they immediately, as if it's like already ingrained in them on a like internal timer, they line up, all of them, and they shake hands with each other in a very respectful way.
Right.
And then here's the next thing.
That's awesome.
90% of the kids, I wish it was 100%, 90% of the kids skate over the officials and dap up the officials and the referees.
Yep, good for the next game.
Yep, no matter what. I mean, you have the a-hole parents that are yelling. You have some coaches that might be yelling at these officials that are just doing their best that they can at a youth hockey game, and they're catching all this ridicule. And these young kids are going up and high-fiving and saying thank you to the officials. Has it ever happened? Ever happened?
No.
In a youth football game? In a youth basketball game? Basketball might be the worst.
It starts there, you're right.
Basketball might be the worst. It has become a sport to hate on the officials.
Basketball can be the worst in the NBA championship for or not like at the end of a conference finals or a championship. I mean, you lost, all right? I mean, so be cool and go over there and congratulate the other guys. Some handshakes, some hugs, stuff like that. There are so many big players in the history of the NBA just can't take the losing. They just leave. They leave. And yeah, it sucks.
I know. So like we can go through all the other sports, and I'm not here to bash the other sports. I just wish that more people around the country had a kid that played hockey, both male and female, and just saw the culture of what it can be, where we can play a hard-fought competitive game and smash each other against the boards. Yep. And at the end of the day, we're going to give a toothless smile to each other and a hug and dap each other up and say, attaboy, good game, see you next time.
Yeah, and whether the unwritten code, NHL, unwritten code that goes into why fights start, okay? So if you think it's foolish or if you think it's childish or dumb, that Nacho Leber checked me the wrong way into the boards in November, and we meet again in March, and either we're going to fight or the thug on my team's going to go after Ben. Okay, that's the code of how hockey has worked, works, and will work. But when it comes to, because there are different reasons they fight. They either agitate each other, they either get super close to the goalie, do something that somebody doesn't see, and then now we got to go at it. Yeah, or it's... say there's a player in the Wild. I don't even know who it would be. Let's say Marco Rossi. Say he doesn't want to fight. Okay, not everybody wants to fight. Wayne Gretzky didn't want to fight. Sidney Crosby not big on fighting. Well, it's if somebody gets a little elbow in or a little jab in as the scrum builds. Well, then now here comes Foligno. So say it's Kaprizov, and I'm not saying Kirill doesn't want to fight, but he's not known for fighting, and he's the best player in the team. So somebody sneaks a little elbow in, a little jab in. Well, see, that's when Eriksson Ek and Moose are like, brah, not him, me. You know that. Not him, me. And it's going to take place in the third period.
Yeah.
So, okay, but now you got all that, and it's all accepted, and it happens. But then the series is over. So say Marcus Foligno for the Wild and Alex Pietrangelo for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. 6 fights just after each other. Series is over. Handshake. Eye contact, and they're friends.
It's mutual respect.
Mutual respect. Yeah, acquaintance is mutual respect.
Let's go have a beer.
Yes.
Let's go have a beer.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
In a way, I had no idea that we were going to be going down this road, and I'm certainly this is going to be taken, out of context a little bit, but like I'm just proving a point. There is a little like microcosm of society with the way hockey approaches fights and the approach physicality amongst men. I kind of wish that there was a way that we as a society, like, it's okay. Like, you mess with that person on the playground. Sorry, bro, you're going to get punched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just the way of life, man.
Yeah.
Like you can't pick on that kid, or you can't do those things over and over again.
So the bully gets free cracks because if you punch the bully, now all of a sudden you get sued, family gets,
Right. There. I feel like there's a little societal decorum that needs to take place in a little bit more of a macho way of like, don't do that, because you're not just going to get a detention.
Yeah.
Like the threat and the thought of being punched in the face, that's enough in the future that you won't do it again.
It's a nice deterrent.
It's a nice deterrent.
Mike Tyson, you remember what he said?
Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the nose.
That's one of the greatest in the face.
Best.
Until you get punched in the face. It's one of the greatest phrases ever.
Yeah, you might think you're the toughest kid on the block. You go pick on that little kid that has no reason to get picked on.
That's awesome.
And somebody steps in and says like, "No, man, I'm going to punch you in the nose." And you punch him in the nose. Like that kid is no longer going to bully that other kid or whatever.
Or other kids.
That's
beautifully stated. All right, that's Ben Leber at Nacho Leber. When we return, the fan has learned a week from today at 7 o'clock, we have a Vikings draft party show on KFAN. We're going to go through some of that and more, but first.
The Fan, along with BigDeck.com, want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. The keyword is fun. And wouldn't it be fun to win $1,000 by entering the keyword fun at K?
Catch the new Hulu original comedy, Mid-Century Modern, from the creators of Will and Grace, executive producer Ryan Murphy, and director James Burrows. When three best friends move in together, Palm Springs will never be the same. Bunny, Jerry, and Arthur are already close friends. But when they decide to live together, it's a new chapter with a new family. And speaking of family, don't forget Bunny's mom, Sybil, who's along for the ride. Whether it's a trip to Fire Island or a local congresswoman with a wild side, these roomies know how to do it with style. They're fun, they're fabulous, and they're turning life's lemons into spiked lemonade. So shake up a batch of cocktails, relax by the pool, and get ready for some serious shade. A new comedy with heart, soul, and sass. Mid-Century Modern stars Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, and Linda Lavin. All episodes of Mid-Century Modern are now streaming on Hulu.
KFAN.com.
Oh my gosh. Shame on you for saying that.
Oh boy, that was just an ugly one.
Sorry, KFAN.
Oh my.
Holy Toledo! Shall we begin?
Welcome back, 9 to noon. Maple Grove Lock and Safe on a weekly basis brings you Ben Leber in studio at Nacho Leber. And a week from today, providing the analysis on stage with PA and Charch and Pete Bursich and everybody involved. Vikings draft party, looking forward to that. Leber, I was listening to you on the Power Trip morning show today.
Yes.
And offensive line, I think everyone could agree that is a potential focal point for the Purple in the upcoming draft. But I thought you were in conversation with Saucy. You guys got a podcast or something coming out too, right?
Yeah, we just recorded it in between the Power Trip show and this show. Just recorded it, about 25 minutes long. It's a simple, easy, very easy to consume, 25 minutes. This is more of a 30,000-foot view of just the draft, and then how the implications and how things go at the top of the draft can maybe affect what the Vikings do. So we do talk about some of the options that are available, and I do want to put the disclaimer out there, and I know you guys have talked about it, and we'll probably talk about it real soon. But in an effort, I know some people out there, in an effort to try to just get things right, they're always like, well, the Vikings could do 12 different things. And they'll come back in hindsight and be like, so you see, I was right. And you're like, well, in this situation, the Vikings really could do 10 different things. I mean, I think the possibilities of trading up are pretty low, but they could trade back. They could stay at 24. And then, there's, 5 positions that they could be targeting. And at each one of those positions, there could be 2 or 3 guys at each position that might make sense.
And specifically with the O-line, because PA and I were talking about this first hour with Alec Lewis, is the steam behind a Gray Zabel And then you're looking at this O-line crop and going back again, referencing when you and Saucy were talking on the power trip, and it just was clicking in my head and got things spinning. The flexibility of all these guys, Ben, from this guy's a tackle, Membu out of Missouri. I've talked about him 3 or 4 times. I just freaking love that cat. He's going to be gone, I think. Bears at 10, we'll say. But the flexibility of all these guys that may actually improve their draft stock. Elite guard that you could kick out to tackle, high-end tackle at the college ranks, but he's got T-Rex arms, so we're going to push him inside. The flexibility of these O-linemen potentially making them more valuable. He's good. Let's just get him in our house. And maybe a Gray Zabel may be gone before the Vikings get a chance at 24 because of the love these teams have for these players.
Yeah, and that's sort of the scenarios that we could be facing is that, you could get a guy like Gray Zabel to get down to you or Tyler Booker from Alabama who played primarily as a left guard. He's not one of these swing tackle guys that you're going to ask, like you talk about Membu, he's a tackle that you can maybe move down into guard, and he played primarily at right tackle. So you get a guy like Booker that might fit, but then you also have to look at, well, what else is available? If all of these offensive linemen, for this, that, and the other reasons, position flexibility, just flat out team need, whatever it is, if some of those teams in the 23 picks before us feel like that's an area where we have to address, well, then by the time you get down to maybe Gray and maybe a Tyler Booker, then there's going to be a defensive tackle available. There's going to be a safety available. There's going to be a corner available. And what if you get a running back that's available that you feel like is right there? What if this tight end from Michigan somehow slides? You could make a very compelling argument that you could draft one of these super special pass catching tight ends, and you're like, okay, well, now we're padding depth. Now we can go a lot more 12 personnel. We can use both of our tight ends as wide receivers, mismatches galore, all these other things. So that's why I think this draft at 24 is really interesting, because we could go a lot of different directions depending on how the draft shakes out.
Help us with the rest of the division. Quick twitch. Now, we don't need names. If you want to provide names, go ahead. Just theory. Beloved BJ and the Bears at 10. Mm-hmm. Well, what's the what would your theoretical approach be there?
Well, if Genty's available, then 100%. I think they have to go there. I still think that they're looking, even though they've invested pretty heavily in defense. I think finding an edge defender and a safety would probably make sense as well. So they did add free agency wise into their offensive line, so they're probably okay there. They've got pretty splashy with their offensive line.
If I think it's 85% or higher, it would fly in the face of O'Connell. Like, he's an offensive-minded coach. Their first pick was a defensive guy. Now, had they stayed in the middle of the first round, it could have been Jamison Williams from Detroit, offensive guy. But like with Ben Johnson, I think it's just 75 to 85% of the time, the new guy uses the first pick on his side of the ball. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think they want to put their mark on their team that they're on. But that also so if the issue with that is your offensive line's taken care of. If Genty's not there, then I don't think Hampton maybe is. You could take him at 10 if you want. I think everybody thinks he's really, really talented out of North Carolina.
You think the Patriots take the LSU offensive lineman, Will Campbell?
It's possible.
That'd be 4. I think 4.
But it depends on, what are the Giants going to do? Are they going to take Abdul Carter? There's some really top end players there that I think that could fit for them.
Yep. They just spent a lot of organizational money then. It's the NFL prints money, but they went to the ballyhooed Colorado Buffaloes, LeBron, I'm taking my talents to South Beach type production. But then they went back, and I think it's today. They're working out Shedeur Sanders privately today.
You talking the Giants?
Yeah, the Giants.
Yep.
In Boulder. So, I mean, that's an expensive smokescreen. You know what I mean?
Well, it really is, especially when you have Russell Wilson, and
Jameis Winston.
And Jameis Winston. I mean, I think it makes sense. If you've got Russell on a 1-year deal, and again, you don't feel like you're hoping that you're never this high in the draft order again for a lot of years. So your opportunity to get a high-end quarterback may not come around again.
Right.
And if you're okay maybe having him sit or truly compete for this spot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all the contract details with Russell, but if you feel like he can truly compete and maybe start, I think that's a very logical landing spot. If you think that he's the second best quarterback in the draft, I think Jackson Dart might be the second best quarterback in the draft. I think Jackson Dart, when it's all said and done, might have the best pro career out of all these guys, including Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a really hard sell to your fan base that you're going to use that third pick and not take Deion's son and take a guy from Ole Miss, who on a lot of people's boards is more of a grade-wise late first, early second round grade.
Green Bay 23, same premise, and why?
Well, they did add a corner. I mean, there's going to be maybe a corner available. I think that they need to add somebody alongside Rashawn Gary. I don't think that Kenny Clark is the same Kenny Clark. I think finding some sort of best available interior defensive lineman, pass rushing edge player in that spot, I think would make a lot of sense.
Lions 28.
I mean,
I like them. I like edge for them. Bookend Aiden Hutchinson. There's this Georgia kid that I came up with yesterday, Michael Williams or something. He might be the best edge against the run of anybody in the draft. And the belief is, at least from what I read, is that when you bookend Hutchinson, well, he's going to get all the attention. So therefore, his pass rushing skills are going to gradually improve, but he's going to be really good against the run, opposite the guy who's good against the run and the pass.
Yeah, I can absolutely see, based on the injuries that they had last year, they get Marcus Davenport back, which we all know his story. I mean, when he wants to be good and he's healthy, he's an animal.
Yeah. He's a 200 and change pound Michael Pierce. So, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get.
You don't know what you're going to get out of him. But, when he's good, he's great. And, but I do agree with you. I think adding to their pass rush opposite Aiden is going to be paramount. They're probably going to have a guy like Shamar Stewart, like a Michael Williams, the kid out of Boston College. He's more of that Ezraku, more of that true like straight speed edge rushing type of guy.
So if you like Green Bay to investigate something like that, can't remember the guy's name, but their defensive coordinator was the head coach at Boston College 2 years ago.
Hafley.
Yeah, Jeff Hafley.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about that.
So, think about that in that spot as well. So
either likes him a lot or doesn't like him at all. It's one of the two.
It is one of the two. I mean, I'm glad you put that out there, because we talk about that all the time. We talk about personal connections, whether it's a free agent or a draft pick, and you're like, whoa, they were together at such and such college or such and such team. Like, that doesn't mean that they liked each other,
right? Twin Cities live today, 3 to 4:30. The proper routes to handling a deluge of rain when it comes middle of the afternoon, and you get 1 inch to 3 in like an hour. Is that on the topic sheet today?
A little bit. We always have a weather segment built into the show.
Yep.
So, it is a perfect day, given what's going to happen this afternoon, to sit inside, turn on Twin Cities Live. We're going to have Gavin Kaysen on to talk about his new book that's coming out. And, it's going to be great. Also, tomorrow, we take our show on the road once a month. We're going to be at Malone's in Maple Grove.
Sweet.
So if you want to stop by, get there early. It's
waffle fries.
It's free to attend. I've heard nothing but amazing things about the waffle fries.
Well, now 10 flight attendants have something to do middle of the afternoon on Friday.
They got this firecracker shrimp. I hope they still have it, but it's elite. Tall mugs of beer. No, Malone's is HOF up there.
Yeah, I've heard that they don't need any promotional help about getting people there, especially on a Friday afternoon. I think it's going to be packed regardless if we're there or not. So we might just be a nuisance to some of the patrons, but
it's standing room only right now, potentially.
Yeah, exactly. So I have heard, we tell everybody get there early to walk in because it is free.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing this place is going to be packed tomorrow, so I can't wait.
You're elite. We'll watch today. We'll watch tomorrow from Malone's, and I will see you next week a couple of times, maybe Thursday. And,
Thursday morning we have the mock draft, right?
And then the draft party radio show at 7. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ben Leber, Maple Grove Lock and Safe. Thank you. And at Nacho Leber via Twitter, News du Nord.
Catch the new Hulu original comedy, Mid-Century Modern, from the creators of Will and Grace, executive producer Ryan Murphy, and director James Burrows. When three best friends move in together, Palm Springs will never be the same. Bunny, Jerry, and Arthur are already close friends. But when they decide to live together, it's a new chapter with a new family. And speaking of family, don't forget Bunny's mom, Sybil, who's along for the ride. Whether it's a trip to Fire Island or a local congresswoman with a wild side, these roomies know how to do it with style. They're fun, they're fabulous, and they're turning life's lemons into spiked lemonade. So shake up a batch of cocktails, relax by the pool, and get ready for some serious shade. A new comedy with heart, soul, and sass. Mid-Century Modern stars Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, and Linda Lavin. All episodes of Mid-Century Modern are now streaming on Hulu.
Is next.
Welcome back. It is News du Nord, brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. Poker, blackjack, and table games all year round, having sips at chips, making friends, making memories, and live racing. Derby Day's May 3rd. There's got to be the patented Canterbury Derby Day party, so bring your hats and be ready for mint juleps. But then live racing kicking off later in the month as well. So CanterburyPark.com is your first spot to go. Congratulations to the Minnesota Twins. They won a series. In fairness, they took 2 of 3 from the White Sox a couple weeks ago. But it was Ty France. It was 10th inning. It's a 4-3 win for the Minnesota Twins. So 2 out of 3 against the Metropolitans of New York. And next up, they're chilling today, and then they get a weekend series in Atlanta against the Braves. Now, the Braves have had a tough start this year as well. Admittedly, I haven't followed a ton of the Braves in their action, but they're 5-13. They don't have Acuna back yet, although I believe his return or his timeline is, from the article I read, it's looming.
Is it?
But it's not tomorrow.
Yeah, it was something bad happened to him last year.
I thought he tore up his knee or something. Yeah, that hits me as being part of the. So but he's coming back, and the Braves, who have had their struggles, as I mentioned, they just came off losing 2 of 3 in Toronto, 2 of 3 down in Tampa or wherever the Rays are playing these days, since the stadium's in shambles.
Yep.
But it will be the Braves, and it will be Chris Paddock tomorrow. So congratulations on the Twins on winning a series. Maybe some time on the road could get some perspective and some W's for the favorite baseball team.
I think a day off today and Monday are going to be good for this team. I mean, because they've been on an absolute day after day after day after day grind. So Atlanta gets a little light in the hitting department with Olsen and Riley and Albies and so on. But nevertheless, tough customers. So hopefully the Twins can meatloaf the Braves.
To the NBA, final hour, by the way, digging into the Wild right around the corner with Michael Russo. I believe he's attending the team practice. So we'll get a little sounds of hockey and some Russo hockey next segment. And then Johnny Krasinski covering not only the Wolves, but you think about the NBA playoffs right at our doorstep. Last night, you saw a couple of games take place. The Heat, I mean, I don't want to say this was predictable, but it just felt like Spoelstra on the road at the Bulls got to win this game. They do. They win by nearly 20. Mavericks oust the Kings. So the Bulls and Kings, they have reached the offseason. But tomorrow night, it is Heat at the Hawks. So Trae Young, He's had a day to think about his activities, maybe some immaturity on the court. Still gets to host a game for the chance to face the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then the Mavericks, who handled business as well, as I mentioned. 30 points from DeRozan, but Anthony Davis was too much for everybody last night. The Mavericks will be at the Grizzlies tomorrow night for a chance to face OKC and the Thunder.
Dallas has a really nice guard named Brandon Williams, who was undrafted. And that kid's really made the best of what's been offered to him. And he's getting to play a lot more because Kyrie Irving is down. But he factored in nicely last night. And the Sacramento Kings owner handled the loss so well. Basically, right after the game, he fired the general manager. So that's it's just the wheel just keeps on turning, the con.
It does. Last thing for you, and I don't want to mean this as a throwaway bit, because as a person that has watched sports and watched sports broadcasts for many years, well, I just saw this come across. I know we want to get to Russo, but Lee Corso. Yeah. Lee Corso has been a mainstay, a staple, an icon with the helmets and the jokes and the inside for more than 4 decades. Yeah. He's retiring officially from ESPN's College Game Day in August. So he's been there since 1987. Again, nearly 4 decades. My family and I will forever be indebted for the opportunity to be part of ESPN and College Game Day for nearly 40 years. I have a treasure of many friends, fond memories, and some unusual experiences to take with me into retirement. Corso, as part of, and, Guardsy and I have gone back and forth on this, but I think this is one spot where we agree. I think College Game Day is maybe the best produced live sports pre/post. Put them all together into a category.
On a college campus, wacky kids, signs.
And they got all the bits, all the personalities. You're right. It's so flawlessly executed with a lot of the chaos around them. Really impressed with what they've done. Lee Corso is a massive part of that. So cheers to him and into retirement, I suppose, after nearly 40 years.
Right. He's broadcasting immortality. He made his mark in unique fashion. I'm just waiting for the photo of Corso, Feinbaum, and Herb Street together, tweeting it for about 3 weeks, saying things are never going to be the same.
I always love that one.
And so happy trails to Lee Corso. He is football immortality. Wild in Vegas Golden Knights coming up this weekend on KFAN. And we're going to chat about that with Michael Russo when 9 to noon continues at KFAN.